Hello YouTube and welcome to Episode 2 of the Shaney Show. Happy President's Day to everyone out there in the States. And today we got a lot to cover. It's definitely not going to be an hour and 2 minutes. There's no special guest this week. But, a lot to cover, a lot to talk about, a lot of sports happening, just like every week. I mean, it's the first week without football, so it's definitely going to be a little bit drier than usual. But we're going to be talking a lot of basketball. We're going to be talking a lot of football, actually, shockingly. And but a lot more basketball. We have, of course, the wrestling segment that we did last week. It's staying for this week because it did all right. If you didn't check out last week's episode, you can watch it all the way through on this channel or the link in description. There's a Shaney Show Clips channel where I put every clip of every topic I talk about, and it's the next day. So if you want to get the first day, you have to watch it. You have to watch it the entire hour through. But the next day, it always comes out around noon, and then all the way until all of them are out, 15 minutes apart each. And all of the segments are there, and me and Sarge, everything. So you got to check that out. All my socials are down below. And let's hop into a great episode 2 of The Shaney Show. Now, to start off this week's episode of The Shaney Show, you may or may not notice I'm trying different mics since last episode's quality wasn't the best. I'm going to be trying different things through the weeks until something sticks. This is the first type of podcast that I'm doing, so let's get into the first topic. J.J. Watt was released by the Texans on Friday. I was in school. I remember I was walking down the stairs, and I went, whoa, the Texans just cut J.J. Watt. Now, obviously, it was a mutual agreement. The Texans didn't want to do it, but because J.J.'s given his heart, soul, and literally every limb that you could possibly injure to the Texans, they let him go respectfully, so I get it. 3-time DPOY, Defensive Player of the Year, is now a free agent, and as of right now, there are over a dozen teams that have showed interest, including, and not limited to, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Browns, the Bills, and the Titans. Those are the only public teams as of right now. You can imagine half the league is after this guy. But the Steelers, I'm going to make a case for those 4 teams and why I think it's kind of cool, why it would work. So obviously the Steelers, you get to team up with TJ, you get a team that's rebounding off of off of a lackluster second half of the season, a disappointing half, and anticlimactic ending to that season. So you're adding even more force to that defense, even though offense will need to fix, but the defense is really getting a boost, And they have Ryan Fitzpatrick, Minkah Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt, and JJ Watt all on defense. And you got a lot more than that, obviously. And this team's defense will be elite with JJ Watt. He'd have to take a significant pay cut to come to Pittsburgh, but that'd be really cool. I like the Browns because then you have an elite pass rush with defensive tackle Khalil Mack and then D-end JJ Watt with already a very good defense, in my opinion. I mean, it's going to be a better defense. They kind of had a lot of shootouts, but some games they were really solid. And I think with a loaded offense, and if J.J. Watt is comfortable taking a pay cut to win, I think this team will be kind of elite. I mean, this might be the piece they need. I also think Odell coming back is really going to help them. I predicted in the last episode, you got to go watch it, how I thought the Browns were going to do in my segment with Sarge. So it's the 24-minute talk with Sarge. You'll see how far I predict the Browns to go, so you got to check that out. The third team on here, the Bills. The Bills defense, the scary defense, one of the scariest defenses in the league and one of the most upcoming defenses right now, is going to get a whole lot better with J.J. Watt. Now, historically, the Bills defense has always been a nasty, tough, and rough team. Adding J.J. Watt to this, I can just see him. I'm a Patriots fan. Seeing J.J. Watt in the blue and red and white and, in the snow, because he's played in Houston for so many years, in the snow out in Buffalo, that's an amazing image in my head, and I know all Bills fans are like, wow. Hopefully, again, I keep saying pay cuts. All 4 of these teams, he's going to have to take a pay cut, and to go to a team that he wants to win with, he's going to have to take a pay cut. Unless they have an absurd amount of cap space, like the Seahawks if they lose Russell Wilson or the Eagles if they lose Carson Wentz, then I could see him going somewhere and making a bigger deal. But taking a pay cut and winning, I think J.J. Watt will take it. He has a lot of money amassed over his career anyway with the Texans. He has a lot of endorsements for literally probably everything of protein you could get and every single athletic tape you could get, J.J. Watt's on it. But I like the Bills a lot. And then the Titans, this one I just don't see happening. I mean, they went big in free agency last year and got 2 defensive stars that just did not pan out the whole season. They got upset in the first round of the playoffs against Lamar Jackson, which is something that shouldn't happen because Lamar Jackson is a historic playoff choker in his first 3 seasons. But, J.J. Watt would obviously make this team amazing. It's another high-profile star. This time I don't think it would just be a name. I feel like you'd get a lot of, production out of J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt would be a force to be reckoned with. He's not to be taken lightly in the slightest. And J.J. Watt can make any team a contender if their defense isn't the Jets. There are some teams I'm just going to get into real quick that I could totally see him going with, such as the Patriots, my team. Again, pay cut, but winning culture, defense that needs a little bit of a revamp. Matt Patricia as defensive coordinator, and one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. I always knew he wasn't going to work out a head coach, but defensive coordinator is always, he's a very good defensive coordinator. It's the same as Todd Bowles, wasn't a very great head coach. Defensive coordinator, just won a Super Bowl in Tampa. So, another team, people are saying Tampa, he would have to take, if he goes to Tampa, I'm not going to be a Tampa fan regardless. But if he goes to Tampa, they could easily go back-to-back with that defense because that defense held Patrick Mahomes and their offense to 9 points, not a single touchdown. So J.J. Watt on that defense just makes that team incredible. You could also say, because I know T.J. Watt, not this year, but pretty soon is going to be a free agent in the next upcoming year or so. And they want to team up. So if it's in Pittsburgh, it's in Pittsburgh. If it's whatever team JJ lands on, it's whatever team JJ lands on. Or maybe they're going to plan their contract so they end at the exact same time so they can go to a team together. I think that's what they want to do. Another team, maybe the Bears, they're looking for, since Khalil Mack left, they're looking for a star before. I'm an idiot. I think, because I'm looking through the script, I looked at the Browns, I said Khalil Mack. I didn't say that before. I didn't mean to say that. I meant Myles Garrett. Khalil Mack is on the Bears. That's really bad. I'm not even going to cut it out. You know what? He's most likely taking a pay cut. I'm okay with that. I was just looking at the script and I was like, Khalil Mack's not on the Browns. It's kind of funny though, so it's whatever. He might not even be on the Bears. I'm getting really confused right now. I'm dizzy thinking about it. But anyway, another team is possibly the Jets. Jets are always a high-profile spot for any free agent. There's a jersey swap of literally any player that you like in a Jets jersey. The Chargers is one. Joey Bosa and him. That would be cool. Niners is one. Bosa and him again. That would be cool. Imagine if all 4, the Watts and the Bosas teamed, or the 5, because I think there's 3 Watts in the league, and the Bosas teamed up. That'd be the scariest defense of all time. Of course, there's teams like the Chiefs who always get a high-profile free agent in free agency for cheap. Somehow they get him for no money, like Le'Veon Bell. Well, they got him mid-season, but there was a lot of players last year. The Ravens, of course, they could use a revamp on defense. And, again, a lot of teams could use him. He's a versatile player. You could always put him at tight end, like a lot of teams, like the Texans have done for certain plays. So I'm a fan of J.J. Watt leaving the Texans. Good luck to the Texans. You're going to need it. I would not be surprised if this team relocates or sells the team and just revamps. Next up, we have Derrick Rose is a New York Knick. If you did not know, let me just explain my fandoms real quick. I am a Patriots fan, Bruins fan, Red Sox fan, and a Knicks fan. That's a story for another time. Trust me, I'm not a bandwagon. It makes sense. I'm from Maine. So, anyway, Derrick Rose is a New York Knick. He's wearing orange and blue, and I'm a fan. The trade for Derrick Rose was sent to the Knicks for Dennis Smith Jr. and a pick. I'm fine with that. Dennis Smith Jr. was aimed to go to the G League, so we get a veteran point guard for someone who he didn't put up much in the pick. I put out a tweet that said if he was to put up 35, I would have bought his Pistons jersey, but of course he didn't. I don't even care how bad he did, but all the luck in the world to Dennis Smith Jr. I love him. I love his dunks. I liked him when we got him in the Mavericks trade, which was a loss on our part. But I love Derrick Rose making a comeback to New York. I'm hoping those allegations, if they're true about Derrick Rose, I didn't want to touch on this, but I'm going to. If the allegations about Derrick Rose are true, I hope he does prison time. I hope everything he gets coming to him, he gets. If they're not true, I hope he's a free man, innocent until proven guilty. I believe in that by all means. So I'm not even going to say that he's innocent. I'm just giving him a chance. I hope all that's worked out. But the Knicks really need to drop Alfred Payton and Austin Rivers because we have an overload of guards. Right now we have Emmanuel Quickley, who should be starting over Alfred Payton. We have Derrick Rose, who could be starting, so Emmanuel Quickley come as a six-man, or Derrick Rose could be six-man. Then you got Alfred Payton, who's starting. He's awful. He's a bum. Trade him, cut him. I don't care. Send him overseas for all I care. And then Austin Rivers, just hasn't panned out this year so far. I feel like we're a very guard-heavy team, so it's kind of a missed opportunity. I hope we trade him to the Clippers or something, or even Philly. I'd be fine with trading him to Philly because then he gets to be with his dad, of course. So that's how I feel about the Derrick Rose trade. I see it as a win as of right now. He's done good in his first 2 games that I've watched. I haven't watched his other ones yet, but Derrick Rose, keep it up. Stay injury-free. Love you, D-Rose. Something I never would have expected to ever report on was the Capitol riots, but Olympic swimmer Cleat Keller is indicted on 7 charges for involvement in the U.S. Capitol riots. This is kind of crazy to me. This was in the beginning of January. Cleat Keller, if you didn't know, was in the Olympics, I believe 2012 as a swimmer, because I remember just watching. For some reason, I was really into the Olympics when I was little. But he was for USA. I don't think he won a gold, he might have not even placed for the medals. If anything, he got like bronze or silver. But he's a recognizable name by me, but I'm a sports fanatic, so but he was recognized at the event by an FBI agent after wearing his USA team jacket there. There's some pictures of him out there with the team jacket on. I'm not going to say my political views on this channel, and I'm not going to say how I feel about the riots. But I will say, he was already out of his prime. He's never going to swim again. This shouldn't have even made news, but I decided to report on it. Cleat Keller has been indicted on 7 charges of the Capitol riots. I don't want to start controversy in my comments, like, oh, you're a Trumpy, oh, you're a Biden supporter. I'm going to stay very neutral on it. There's time and a place. On my Discord, we talked about it. Discord's in the link about we've talked about politics there before, but that was the election night we did. So I try and keep politics off the channel, and Cleat Keller, innocent until proven guilty, just like the Derrick Rose thing I talked about. Good luck. Now, off of a sad note, we need to go. We can't go this episode without talking about the Super Bowl parade. Kind of a parade. It was the first ever boat parade. They socially distanced as best as they could. They didn't really do a good job. I give them credit. I don't care. Tampa won a Super Bowl. If the Knicks won the finals and I lived outside of the Garden, I'd be partying in the streets, not caring about my health either. So I get it. First time in about, I think, exactly 20 years. So, and they've sucked since they won that Super Bowl with John Gruden. So, if you didn't watch it, Tom Brady threw the Lombardi trophy from his $2 million boat to another boat, which is just, you can hear in the video his daughter going, "No, Dad, no." It's amazing. If you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it right now. If you're watching this on the Clips channel, there's just gonna be a picture of it. I can't believe that and the reason he did this was because he was so drunk that he could not stand up. Now, of course, there's no proof that he was drunk, but we all know he was drunk. That proved it, and then you could see it. He looked like a little kid in middle school, sticking a wad of gum under his desk and then trying not to get caught, and or even a spitball or something, and he's looking at his friends like, "Ayo," it was just so funny, his childish response. He was yelling stuff, he was having beers thrown to him, one of them exploded on his boat inside of it when it was not called by Tom Brady. Obviously, we saw in Super Bowl 52 how good his hands are. I'm a Patriots fan, I hate the Eagles. But Gronk was Gronk at this party. No, he didn't do anything crazy, but doing something crazy in Gronk standards is like a slip and slide in your college dorm. So, Scotty Miller dropped Chris Godwin's phone in the water, which was the funniest Pat McAfee segment of the show. I'm having a video on Scotty Miller coming out later in the week, so stay tuned for that. And the Super Bowl parade, Tampa was living it up. I'm amazed that none of the boats hit each other like the one, there was a Trump boat rally, I think in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale, and it was just a disaster because there were so many boats. I think they did it perfectly. They were socially distanced enough. I mean, no one had masks, but it was okay. I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but the Super Bowl parade was absolutely amazing. Now, for the professional wrestling segment of this show, if you are not a fan of professional wrestling and you do not want to hear about professional wrestling, there's a timestamp down below. You don't have to hear about it. This is just for my professional wrestling fans. If you're here just to listen, then listen. That's fine. But I want to get into everything Elimination Chamber. This is just... I'm disappointed. I got back into wrestling a few weeks ago. I used to be a fanatic when I was little. And it's just like... This is one of the most lackluster of even both. Because Friday Night SmackDown, we saw the second Elimination Chamber get revealed. I'd say the best one was when there was the tag team one, the Intercontinental one, and the championship ones, obviously. But that was a few years ago. That must have been 2016. But this is just abysmal. I mean, we got the Raw Chamber where Drew McIntyre is defending his title against Sheamus, Randy Orton, Jeff Hardy, AJ Styles, and The Miz. Now, their big selling point is they were all past world champions. Jeff Hardy... I love watching Jeff Hardy. I love watching him do flips. He always has a cool move off the chamber. But, it's not realistic for him to win the title. The Miz, he's got the Money in the Bank briefcase, which I'll get into in a different week. I still can't believe Otis should have had it. But the thing is, The Miz has so much going for him when nobody cares. It was the worst time to give him the Money in the Bank briefcase. Him and John Morrison should have honestly been a tag team heel with just the championships. Him in the Rumble, I was like, okay, Money in the Bank, Rumble, that's cool. But now he's in the Elimination Chamber, so I have a weird feeling he's going to get in the Elimination Chamber, automatically lose, and then possibly go out. John Morrison's going to be there. Drew McIntyre wins the whole thing. Him and John Morrison just beat the living hell out of Drew McIntyre, and then he cashed in and wins possibly. But Miz versus Edge at WrestleMania is something nobody wants to see. So, I mean, to be honest, I don't see Sheamus winning it, like I said. Randy Orton winning it makes sense if you want to have Edge versus Randy Orton again, but I don't want to see it. Jeff Hardy versus Edge, or Jeff Hardy wins the title versus Drew in a rematch. Jeff Hardy with the title is interesting. I just don't see them doing it. AJ Styles, that's one that I could totally see happening. AJ Styles versus Edge, AJ Styles versus Drew, or AJ Styles versus somebody else at WrestleMania will always be entertaining. But I don't think it's a move here. And, again, The Miz doesn't make much sense. Drew should win the title, honestly. If The Miz angle happens where he cashed in Money in the Bank on Elimination Chamber, fine. But I have a weird feeling Edge is going to stay with Raw because they need help right now with their ratings stuff. And SmackDown kind of has it more figured out. They're becoming the flagship show. So the Raw Elimination Chamber of Drew, Sheamus, Randy Orton, Hardy, AJ, and The Miz. I'm not a fan of it. But this one I'll say, Riddle versus Lee versus Lashley in a triple threat match for the U.S. title. I like this match. I don't love it. I like it. Riddle or Lee should win, but they won't because Lashley's lately been burying every single superstar on the planet. He's been having this new uncaged type persona where MVP is telling him to go full, I don't know, he's telling him to go 100%. And, just terrorizing Riddle every week. And then Keith Lee, he threw him like a baby last week. So we saw that tonight. Obviously, Monday Night Raw is going to be there. I mean, I'm not a fortune teller, but I have a weird feeling Bobby Lashley's going to freak out again. So I'm okay with this match. I'm not too thrilled about it. I hope if Riddle wins, I mean, I didn't know Riddle's in his 30s. I'm fine with that. Keith Lee deserves the title the most out of the three, in my opinion, because I feel like he could carry that title. Kind of like John Cena did in 2015, where he just called out random competitors. I think Keith Lee could bring prestige on the U.S. title. And, of course, Bobby Lashley winning it. There's not really harm doing that. So, now I want to get into the SmackDown Chamber match. Roman not being in the SmackDown Chamber match just makes me so angry. Unless we have Braun versus Roman at Elimination Chamber, I don't want to see, which I think Braun is Raw, so there's no one I want to see Roman face at Elimination Chamber. This just makes me angry. Like angrier than words can describe to see Roman not have to defend it in the Elimination Chamber, because it's like, now we know Roman's either going to main event WrestleMania or have the title at WrestleMania, which I don't like. Now he can decide to fight the winner of the Elimination Chamber. They get a number one contender, but also if Edge wants to get it. So I have a weird feeling there's going to be a triple threat match at WrestleMania between like Kevin Owens, Roman, and Edge, and they're going to try and make it like Daniel Bryan, and it's not going to be the same. But nonetheless, Rey and Dominic would have been amazing in the match, because you could have set up 23-year-old Dominic. He didn't even have to win the thing. But him versus Rey, that could have been its own WrestleMania storyline. I'm just not a fan of him not being it. So, as of right now, it is Kevin Owens versus Jey Uso versus King Corbin versus Sami Zayn versus Cesaro versus Daniel Bryan in the Elimination Chamber. I'm just going to go through everybody. Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns, that makes sense. So I feel like Edge is going to stick with Raw, because there's already so many feuds going on SmackDown that would make sense at WrestleMania. And the fact that Roman is not defending it in the chamber just solidifies my point that Edge is not going to be fighting Roman at WrestleMania, because also no one wants to see that. So Kevin Owens versus Roman, I'm fine with that. That feud climaxing with Kevin Owens winning a title is awesome. Jey Uso, that's a totally different... So I have a weird feeling he's going to do very well in this match. But he might not win, but he's going to do well. And it's going to show like he's his own star. Maybe Jimmy Uso will return and come in somehow, some way. That'd be cool to enter the bloodline. But if he wins and it's Jey versus Roman at WrestleMania and they put the title on Jey Uso, I'm going to be really excited. Jey Uso, I feel like as a singles competitor, could be such a heel or a face, probably a face, and he'd be an underdog against Roman every time, and maybe Jimmy will come back to team up with him. Like, there's so many awesome things that could happen. There's also the son of, I don't know who he is. There's another relative who got a one-night performance, like, in 2020, beginning of 2020, who is a part of the bloodline, like biologically. He could always make a return, of course. But then we got King Corbin. It's not going to happen. Shut up. Sami Zayn. I don't like it. I don't like Sami being in the Elimination Chamber. I don't think he really deserves it. Again, Dominic and Rey would have been better in that spot, and I think Rey Mysterio would have been the oldest competitor ever in it, so that would have been cool. Cesaro, every week he does better and better. They keep saying, he's red hot. Oh, he's on top of the WWE. Why doesn't he have a title? He should be WWE champion, in my opinion. Him winning the championship would be a big deal to me. And they're going to play off like the injury thing because Seth Rollins attacked him, which I'll get into later about the Seth Rollins turn. But I would be fine watching Cesaro win that and then get to fight Roman at WrestleMania, because that's a match with Roman I could actually bear watching. Roman's been very good as a heel since I came back to watching wrestling. Roman versus Cesaro would tear the house down. Now, of course, you got Daniel Bryan versus Roman. You need more than 2 months to build this feud. This is a 6-month feud that should have happened and should have been started at like SummerSlam. That's more than 6 months. Is it? No. It's like 8 months. So this should have been like an 8-month feud from like SummerSlam to now, where Daniel Bryan was coming up short. Literally, Daniel Bryan 2014 2.0. Daniel Bryan facing Roman Reigns at WrestleMania would have been awesome, but also, I have a weird feeling Roman could drop the title before WrestleMania, but I doubt it'll happen. So, Daniel Bryan going to WrestleMania, that's a cool idea to me. If not, he's probably going to fight Cesaro, or he's going to fight for the Intercontinental Championship in like a ladder match or something. Or, even better, I'm going to talk about this now. I would like if there was a tag team or Intercontinental Championship held in an Elimination Chamber. They did a few years ago with the IC title, and it was just a lot of mid-card talent that didn't always get the spotlight, and it was one of my favorite matches. They did the same with the tag team where they had Lucha, what were they called? They weren't Lucha House Party yet, but it was like Kalisto and Sin Cara at the time, and a bunch of other teams, 2 people in a pod, and it was a really cool match, and I remember it, and I remember my power going out in the middle of it vividly. I don't know why, but, I feel like the Elimination Chamber should have more Elimination Chamber match. Eliminate It's not like the Royal Rumble where you can't have more than 2 Royal Rumbles. We're already going to have a women's elimination chamber because the entire banner and advertising is the women in the pods. So we know we're going to have at least one women's elimination chamber, which hasn't really been even talked about yet. But I want an Intercontinental Championship with Big E, Apollo, Dolph even. I'm fine with Dolph getting the IC title as well as that. You could put Dominic in it. You could even put Ray in it. You could put all the mid-card talent you want in. This is where Sammy should have went. This is where Corbin should have went. That would have been the move, but WWE doesn't listen to me. So now to get into the Seth Rollins return, I really liked the tease in the beginning with Burn It Down, and then he was full-on Messiah, which don't go together because Burn It Down was prior to the Messiah. This is just cool. I had this weird thought while watching. When everyone left as he was talking, it was it felt kind of cliche. I didn't like that. And when I saw Cesaro was standing there, I was like, oh my God, Cesaro and Seth Rollins, he's going to be the Messiah's, obedient person towards him. And they're going to be a staple. Cesaro and Seth Rollins could run through anyone in the WWE and it'd be amazing. But anyway, so Cesaro leaves after, and then Seth Rollins hurts him. But it would have been amazing if Rey Mysterio and I always talk about Lucha House Party and Dominic and Rey because they're all such cool entities and they're such cool characters. And there's so much to work off them. Rey's 42 or 46, and I could still see him go for a main title. But here's the thing. I think Rey Mysterio should start walking out, and then Dominic stays behind to listen to Seth Rollins. And then Dominic betrays his father, stays and listens to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins starts guiding him instead of Rey. It all climaxes at WrestleMania with Dominic versus Rey. They're probably going to do that next year, honestly. Not with Seth Rollins, just Dominic versus Rey. But Dominic's only 23, so putting him in this position would boost his career so much. Could turn him heel. And it could have been the beginning to a great career for Dominic. But, that was just a little crazy thought I had while watching. Anyone out there could have stayed, and it would have been cool. I saw Daniel Bryan was one of the last to leave, and I was like, whoa. Is Daniel Bryan going to stay and team up with Seth Rollins? Because the Shield versus Daniel, it was all so cool. But anyway, that's the end of the wrestling segment. Hope you enjoyed, and if not, we're back into sports in 3, 2, 1. Now I would like to get into the Carson Wentz options. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz on Super Bowl Sunday was reported to be traded in the next week. By the time you're watching this, it's been 8 days. So he has not been traded yet. I think, in my opinion, his best chance is leaving. Going to a team such as New England or the Jets or any team that needs a quarterback, even if the Jaguars could get him and then draft Devonta, or even just any team that's in need of a quarterback, Carson should go there. Him staying with this Eagles team that's getting younger and getting faster and they're going to be a stronger force. Jalen Hurts is obviously QB1 right now. Eagles don't care. We saw him. Donovan McNabb, he got sat. They didn't care. They dropped him. Mike Vick dropped him once he was done with the Eagles. They don't care who you are. And Carson Wentz was second place in MVP voting a few years ago. When it was Super Bowl 52, going to that year against Tom Brady. Tom Brady won MVP that year and lost to Nick Foles. My opinion, they should have kept Nick Foles. Now everyone agrees with me. The thing is, Carson is just, he overthrows his receivers. His receivers can't catch. It's just not working out in Philadelphia. He's been injury prone. I want to see Carson succeed somewhere else. Now, his best bet, it's tough because he doesn't have that much trade value right now. I think cutting him would be a good choice, kind of like JJ. They kind of owe him that, but also there's a new coach who's trying to keep Carson in town. I don't think he cares. Him going to a losing environment is a win-win for him because him going to a bad team means, it's not going to be blamed on him. It's kind of like Jameis Winston with the Bucs last year. He could go 30 for 30, and no one would really care because his team wasn't going to make the playoffs originally, so it doesn't matter. I mean, I think Jalen Hurts really deserves this spot for the Eagles, and I hope that's what happens. But that's all I got to say about the Carson Wentz situation. Next up, I want to get into the Russell Wilson being unhappy with the Seahawks. Now, this is an odd one. Russell Wilson, he was in the MVP talk for the first 4 weeks of the season last year. He's an amazing quarterback, but he has stated how he's unhappy with the Seahawks and how they've protected him being sacked a record number of times in his first 9 seasons. They need to get him an O-line. It's understandable. I get it where Russell Wilson's coming from. I totally understand that he doesn't want to play in Seattle if they can't protect him. It's just really putting a damper on his career. It could hurt him seriously. This could end his career for all we know. Now, they need to make moves for him to get an offensive line. Like I said, there's a lot of offensive linemen that are either free agents or trying to leave, like Joe Thuney, the Patriots. Most of the Patriots linemen right now are 50-50. You got Brown from the Ravens. He was just released. There's a lot of people that could go to this team and help out, or you could draft. I think that's their biggest thing last year. With the second-round pick, they drafted DK Metcalf, and that was an amazing idea 2 years ago now. That was an amazing idea. Now they need to start drafting freakish linemen. Linemen that would go in the third round, draft them in the second. Nobody cares, just get the linemen. They just need to get linemen for Russell Wilson or he's going to leave, and I don't blame him. I'd see him going to really any team that isn't the Chiefs, the Bucks, any of those contender teams with a set quarterback I could see him going to. Russ is a generational talent, in my opinion, and you'd really be lucky to have him. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's been 2 Super Bowls, and he had a red-hot start to the season, so did Dak. So Dak got injured around the same time that Russ just stopped playing well. It's kind of weird coincidence. I'm just saying, get him a lineman. Get him a line. That's all he wants. Please. The Seahawks have such a future with their team. Their young receivers, DK Metcalf, the LeBron of the NFL potentially, wide receiver at least. So keeping Russell Wilson is a big deal for this team. A little bit of a break from the NFL. We're going to be talking about some NBA once again. And I want to dive into Zion Williamson. He deserves attention. Since LaMelo got drafted, since Tyrese Halliburton got drafted, since all these new players got drafted, it's like Ja Morant, including him also. I almost forgot about Ja. Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn, and especially Zion have not been getting nearly as much attention as they should be. You don't see this happen, really, where the next year they're just dropped off for new people. I mean, LaMelo Ball, he's a big prospect, don't get me wrong, but Zion is a freak of nature. Zion had 23 points on Friday, going 10 of 10 in the first half. It was the first time in Pelicans history that a player's done this in the first half, going 10 for 10. And it got a Bleacher Report post, but it's he's been getting no recognition the entire season. It's kind of bad. There's a chance he won't even be an all-star right now. He's 6th in the front court in the West. Only 2 games behind playoff contention, which is a big deal for the Pelicans. They've always struggled to make the playoffs, especially last year with Zion. But I want to see Zion flourish. He's averaging 23.8 points per game, 60% from the field, 7 rebounds per game, 3 assists per game, and that is all career highs. The 60% field goal percentage, it's actually 59.9 to round it up. But I really like what Zion's doing this season, and the career highs aren't by much. But he's progressing slowly, and he's staying on top at a very good rate. 23 points a game is nothing to just look over. That's amazing. He dropped 36 points on Friday, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 36 is actually his career high, so we can see he's obviously getting better. I believe, in my opinion, you can quote me on this, Sean Newcomb, write it down, the takeover for Zion Williamson is beginning. Now, this next segment is going to be an episode-only thing. I'm not going to put it on the Clips channel as of yet. It's going to be a weekly segment, I think. This is just notable sports performances of the week. This is mostly going to be NBA this week, but in the coming weeks when more sports, kick off, MLB, everything, there'll be more sports in this. But it's just going to be notable sports performances that don't really get their own talking point, so I'm just going to list them off. Cameron Brate, 1 for 1 in Lombardi catches. He caught it from Tom Brady off his boat. Pretty cool. Terry Rozier put up 41 points on Friday. And with 5 minutes and 30 seconds in the third quarter, the Spurs were up 100-61 against the Atlanta Hawks. In other news, Steph Curry put up 40 points with 10 three-pointers on Thursday. A no-name Max Struss had a very odd stat line, Looked like a my player stat line, 21 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks. Plays for the Heat. It's a weird name, hoping he keeps it up. Luka dropped a career-high 46 points, 12 assists, and 8 rebounds in a win over Zion Williamson on Friday. Giannis had a game where he had 47 points and 11 rebounds on Tuesday, and then an awful game on Friday. Zach LaVine put up a 46-point game with 9 threes and 7 rebounds. Kobe White put up 30 points, 8 threes, and 7 assists in that same game, proving that they're both should not be trade negotiable, and they are the future of the Chicago Bulls. Karl-Anthony Towns returned to play after missing 13 games, and he had 18 points, 3 assists, and 10 rebounds in his first game back. LeBron played in 3 straight overtime games this week, winning all 3 of them. LaMelo Ball had 24 points, 10 assists, and 7 threes in a very good game he played. That is the notable sports performances this week. If there's any that I missed, drop them in the comments. Drop some people. There's obviously some G League people I didn't talk about, which I'll get into every week. I want to have a G League segment every week, so... But now getting into the egg segment. Now this end segment, it's probably not going to get a lot of views, but it's something I think is very important. Women's basketball and the future of women's basketball, in my opinion. Paige Bueckers. Is Paige Bueckers the future of women's basketball? In only 13 games, she has won Freshman of the Week in 6 different weeks with UConn. Has scored double digits in 12 out of 13 of her games played, and is averaging 26 points per game right now in college, dropped 32 earlier in February. Paige has been hyped up for years on Overtime, Bleacher Report, everything, highlight her, everything. She's been looked at as the future, and honestly, she could be the face of the WNBA that they need desperately. Now, there's 2 people in college right now that are looking very good. Obviously, Paige Bueckers. She's been playing lights out, and she's just been on a different level from everyone else. 26 points per game in men's doesn't sound like that much. In women's, that's a lot. Now, we got one from Stanford also, Fran Belibi. She's dunking like a center would in the NBA. I'm not going to say it's not the most athletic dunk ever. I'm not going to say that it's anything like an NBA dunk. But she's dunked multiple times in the season already, so she's going to be a hot commodity in the WNBA. People are going to want to watch her dunk on other women. Of course, Brittany Griner dunks and stuff. But these 2 people are very promising for the WNBA. You also got people like Sabrina Ionesco. She's on the Liberty. I mean, she had an injury last year. But now you got new faces coming into the league where you have so many old faces in the league, such as Bird, such as Brittany Griner. There's so many old faces in the WNBA. And this is a fresh new era that could potentially boost this league into stardom. Who knows? Not stardom, but make it a little better. Make it a little more entertaining. I think Paige Bueckers is obviously the future of basketball. Of course, you got, like I said, Fran Belibi. I hope she is also one of the future parts. We got that girl, Jiggy. She looks good. She looks like, I can't really tell. It's an overtime. Overtime also promotes Jade Newman, or Julian Newman, because I think Jade Newman can actually ball. So they promote Julian Newman though. So I just can't believe a thing Overtime ever says. I want to work there one day, but no. But the WNBA is looking promising with these 2 women going into it. And there's a lot more that I'm not naming. I'm not the biggest female basketball fan. I can't lie to you. But to see this with having a sister and stuff, she's not going to play sports. She's lazy, but to seeing this and seeing that it's looking more promising than ever is amazing. I mean, obviously, Sabrina, we knew was going to come in from Oregon and be one of the best. And she was one of the best college players, not only for women in college last year. And now we're seeing that happen with other players, Paige Bueckers, UConn, and Fran Belibi. So I think the future is very promising for the WNBA. And that wraps up this episode. That felt like it's definitely going to be shorter, I think. I think there was more segments, though. It was fun. And the last episode got about 40 views, so I'm not complaining. The reason I stopped the first time is because I got 6 in 2 days. So if you didn't check out my interview with Super Bowl halftime performer Benji C. Jean, You gotta go check it out. I'm making a video, like I said, later in the week about Scotty Miller. And there's just a lot more to come. I have started my commentating career with my high school, so, look out for that. I might tell you guys more about it later in the week. But everybody stay safe. I don't want to keep you too long. It was fun making this episode of The Shaney Show. And, YouTube exclusive. Go check out the Shaney Clips channel if you don't want to scroll through all of it. For next week and tomorrow, all of the clips for this episode will come out. So if you want to send them to your friend, you want to send them to your family, you want to send them to Paige Bueckers, do it. And that's all, guys. Everybody stay safe. Have a great week. Peace out.